Have you ever met someone and in the very first moment your eyes met, you didn't just feel something, you recognized them? When that person walks into your life, all of that comes alive, not to hold on to them, but to call you back to your truest self. And when they leave, what remains is not emptiness, but an opportunity for transformation. In this video, we'll dive deep into the symbols hidden behind unfulfilled love and why Jung viewed this pain not as emotional failure, but as a spiritual initiation. To fully understand this experience, we must explore a few often overlooked truths. Projection isn't just about idealizing someone. It includes obsession, suffering, and emotional chaos. When you don't recognize that you're projecting inner images outward, you may lose yourself chasing a person you have never truly seen clearly. Anima and Animus, the two most crucial archetypes in Jungian psychology, are inner representations of that person in your psyche. When you feel an overwhelming attraction, it may be a sign that your inner anima or animus is seeking integration. The pain of being unable to be with them is what Jung might call sacred heartbreak, a wound of the soul that can open the doorway to individuation, the journey of becoming whole. Not everyone walks through that door, but if you're brave enough to take the next step, you'll no longer live a life half-lived. The shadow of idealization. When you believe someone is your missing half, you unconsciously reject yourself. You don't love them solely for who they are, but for what they represent, the unlived version of you. Without realizing this, you'll repeat the same tragedy in future relationships. Not with logic, not with reason, but with a deep echo in your soul as if they had once been a part of you. In another life, or perhaps within the very depths of your unconscious, a realm you've never dared to enter. The person you couldn't be with is not a loss. They are the door opener. The question is not, why couldn't we be together? The real question is, what am I meant to learn from their presence and their departure? And so this is your invitation. Stay with this video because in the next part, we will decode the deep transformation that begins with just a look, a person who could never be yours, yet may guide you back home to yourself. Are you ready to face the unconscious that's calling your name? Next, we'll dive into the story of Anima and Animus, the two inner archetypes that may explain why impossible love moves the soul so deeply and how not to be destroyed by it, but awakened. And yet, ironically, you couldn't be with them, not because of a lack of love, but because of reality, obligations, distance, or simply wrong timing. You hurt, but this pain is unlike any heartbreak you've known. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, deep, like a seismic tremor in your soul, subtle but powerful enough to awaken buried layers within you. Old dreams, forgotten emotions, hidden desires, and the unlived self. According to Carl Jung, the great thinker who spent his life exploring the shadow of the human mind, such impossible encounters aren't cruel tricks of fate, but sacred. These people were not destined to stay. They were destined to awaken you. Jung called this projection an unconscious process where we cast parts of our undeveloped self onto another. When you meet someone and feel they are everything you've ever dreamed of, perhaps you're not really in love with them, but with the forgotten part of yourself that you see reflected in them. That person did not come to love you. They came to illuminate the part of you you've never dared to live. Maybe it's a sense of freedom you've never allowed yourself, the strength you've longed for, the passion that once burned in you but got buried under life's demands. They are not your destiny. They are the mirror of your soul. In the spirit of Jung, you look at them and think, I've never met anyone like this. But if you listen more closely, you'll realize what you're really thinking is, I've never seen this part of myself before. Jung once wrote, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But this also applies to what enchants us. We are drawn to qualities our soul is starving for. And the intense attraction we feel toward someone we can't have is the soul knocking, begging to be let back in. But when we love someone who cannot be ours, is it still love? This is a question many in the Jungian world have asked, and the answer is not simple. Jung didn't deny the authenticity of these feelings. He saw them as sacred. They awaken unlived parts of us. But he also offered a warning. If you're unaware of your projection, you risk losing yourself. You'll put them on a pedestal. Worship the image, not the person, and in doing so, you unconsciously reject yourself. This is where projection becomes dangerous. You begin to rely on their light instead of learning to ignite your own. So how do we recognize and dissolve projection? Jung never asked us to suppress emotions. In fact, he called them the language of the unconscious. But he did challenge us to transform emotions into awareness. Ask yourself, there is a paradox in the human experience, beautiful yet painfully sharp. We often love most deeply the ones we can never be with. What do I love about them? Have I ever had those qualities even for a moment? What parts of myself did I abandon to feel safe? If I can't have them, can I become what they reflect back to me? A story, Laura and the Shadow of Freedom. Laura, a 35-year-old financial analyst, once shared her story in a Jungian circle. She met Tom, a nomadic musician whose life was the complete opposite of hers. He was free, emotional, intuitive. She fell in love with him, soul-deep love. But Tom couldn't stay. He had no promises, no ties. Laura was devastated, as if she'd lost a piece of herself. Until she realized Tom didn't come to love her. He came to remind her that she had once been an artist. She had written music, dreamed vividly, lived by intuition, but she had buried it all for safety. She didn't need Tom. She needed to come back to herself. When they leave, the real journey begins. Jung believed we do not become whole by idealizing the light, but by integrating the shadow. That fierce emotion doesn't come from familiarity, but from something deeper, as if your soul recognized something in them that you've never dared to see in yourself. The pain of losing someone like this isn't the end. It's the initiation into your true journey. It's the moment to ask, who am I if not theirs? What part of my soul have I forgotten? Am I ready to stop living through someone else's image? If you're walking this path, if you've ever loved someone who could never be yours, know this: you are not alone. In the Jung Psyche Hub community, thousands are transforming heartbreak into awareness, longing into purpose, projection into the return home. You're invited to share your story in the comments. We read everyone, and maybe your story will become the light someone else was waiting for. Now that you know they were a mirror, not your missing piece, we can take the next step. Why were you so magnetically drawn to them? Carl Jung called this phenomenon projection, the unconscious act of casting parts of your inner world onto others. You think you're in love because they're perfect, but in truth, you're in love with a part of your own soul you have never allowed yourself to live. Carl Jung has an answer, hidden in the deepest layer of the unconscious, the Anima and Animus archetypes. In the next part, we'll decode these inner archetypes and how they lead you to fall deeply for someone who was never meant to stay. Are you ready to face the unlived self you've never dared to embody? Imagine someone enters your life unexpectedly, uninvited, and suddenly every emotion inside you wakes up, as if you've just emerged from a long spiritual slumber. When they smile, you feel liberated. When they speak, you feel seen. And when they leave, it's not just them you lose. It's the version of yourself you never got the chance to become. But Jung would say, you haven't lost anything, because they didn't come to belong to you. They came to reflect you, like the first mirror you couldn't turn away from. What does that mirror reflect? Most likely, they carry qualities you deeply long for: freedom, creativity, courage, a passion for life you buried long ago in exchange for safety and structure. Anima and Animus, why the one you couldn't have stirs your soul so deeply. If you are a man, you may be captivated by a woman who is deeply intuitive, artistic, and emotionally open. She might be the projection of your anima, the gentle, emotional, creative part you've suppressed to survive in a world that rewards logic and control. Like in the story of Michael and Clara, Clara wasn't just a creative, free-spirited woman. She was Michael's anima, calling him back to his buried emotional life. Intense emotions, unintegrated archetypes. Ever wondered why one person could make you feel so alive, like your soul was set on fire? Jung believed this wasn't just love, it was your inner archetype awakening. When the anima or animus is not integrated, you might idealize the other person, placing them on a pedestal. Believe they are your missing half. Feel empty without them because you've outsourced a part of yourself. But Jung warned, if you blindly follow these emotions, if you lose yourself trying to be close to them, you are only running further from your true self. Signs of unintegrated anima/animus. Your relationship patterns often reveal your inner imbalance. When that person walks away, the longing doesn't die, not just because you love them, but because they awakened a part of you that had never truly lived. You're drawn to strong people but feel small next to them. You fall for emotional, artistic types while burying your own emotions. You believe someone is too perfect to be real, all while denying your own longing to live wildly and authentically. So Jung would ask, are you really in love with them or with a forgotten part of you? Integration, individuation. Once you recognize the archetype, the journey begins. Can I live out the qualities I admire in them? Do I dare embrace the softness, strength, or wildness I feared in myself? This is the path of individuation, not becoming them, but becoming whole. If you're drawn to someone like Elena, bold and fierce, maybe your soul is asking you to learn to set boundaries and claim your space. If you're enchanted by someone artistic and mystical, it might be your cue to reconnect with your inner artist, to stop hiding your heart. According to Carl Jung, within every person lives two inner archetypes: the pain of separation, a portal to personal freedom. When they're gone, the pain that remains is real, but it's also sacred. Why? Because it forces new questions. Who am I without that? Can I transform this longing into a new way of life? Can I face my shadow, feel this grief, and still choose growth? Jung believed the wound left behind isn't meant to close. It's meant to open a doorway to your true self. And that doorway only appears when you're ready to face the anima or animus within. Practice from projection to awakening. Here's how to begin. Journal prompt list. The traits you admire in the person. Then ask, can I cultivate these traits in myself? Self-inquiry. If I can't have them, how can I live what they reflect? Anima, the feminine soul image in a man. Active imagination. Write a letter to your anima/animus. Draw them. Speak with them. Community sharing. Share your story with a group that honors soul work like the Jung Psyche Hub. Because when you share, you don't just process your emotions, you inspire others on the same path. You are not alone if you've loved someone who couldn't be yours. All over the world, people are moving through heartbreak, learning to stop chasing the mirror and start becoming what the mirror reflected. Share below. Have you ever loved someone you couldn't have, and what did they awaken in you? Let's walk this path of soul integration together. In the next part, we'll explore how to turn this emotional chaos into conscious transformation through Jung's alchemical map, Negredo, Albedo, Rubedo. You'll discover how to turn pain into light and projection into the birth of the true self. Are you ready? Animus, the inner masculine energy in a woman. The one you couldn't have often reflects one of these archetypes. A living mirror that touches your unconscious so deeply it becomes intoxicating. Anima, animus, the soul's mirror. Have you ever heard this line, what you are most obsessed with is the part of you that remains unlived? This is how Jung described the pull of the anima or animus. If you are a woman, you may feel drawn to a man who is both strong and visionary, yet makes you feel soft and vulnerable. He might be a reflection of your animus, the inner masculine traits you've been afraid to express: ambition, assertiveness, drive. The inner alchemical journey, from Negredo to Rubedo, turning wounds into light. You might start journaling to sketching emotions, writing unsent letters to your anima/animus, or simply talking to your own reflection. Albedo is not about suppressing emotion, it's about listening with awareness. Like a child awakening at midnight asking, who am I? You begin to ask, what part of me did I abandon to be loved? What soul aspect have I forgotten in the rush of life? Negredo, Albedo, the shift from darkness to awareness. You don't move from Negredo to Albedo to forget. You move to remember, to see the truth beneath the projection. You begin to realize what you were chasing in them was a part of yourself left unlived. You stop chasing shadows and start walking toward your authentic self. You ask, if I can't have them, can I still become what they awakened in me? And when you can finally say, yes, I can. That is the first spark of Rubedo, the light that rises from within. Rubedo, union and maturity. Rubedo is the final stage of inner alchemy. It's when you no longer need the other person to awaken because you've become your own source of light. You begin to act, write your own story, walk the path they once symbolized. Build a life around your true essence, whether you are a creator, a leader, a healer, or all of the above. Rubedo is not perfection, it's integration, where your conscious and unconscious no longer fight, they harmonize. Have you ever felt the pain of loving someone you couldn't keep, and yet deep in your soul there was a faint light like a whisper saying this is not the end, it's an invitation to awaken. You no longer need to idealize. You simply live by your inner truth. I am strong enough, loving enough, whole enough. Emotion light in the way forward. The alchemical path is not about killing emotions. It is a return to your feelings, but from a place of inner power, not dependency. You tell your story, not for sympathy, but to awaken others. That's what the Jung Psyche Hub community is about. a sacred circle where your pain becomes someone else's permission to heal. Comment below Negredo, Albedo, Rubedo. I choose to keep going if you're somewhere on this journey. Let us witness you. Let us walk with you. This alchemical journey isn't just theory, it's soul work. In the next video, we'll guide you through 10 practical awakening steps to move from Negredo to Rubedo, from pain to purpose, from confusion to creativity, from heartbreak to a radiant whole life. Are you ready to let your wound become the womb of something beautiful? The light you seek is waiting for you inside the very scar you wish would disappear. Carl Jung explored a mysterious but profoundly symbolic psychological model, an inner transformation called alchemical psychology, with 3 archetypal stages: Negredo darkness, Albedo purification, and Rubedo union. This is more than ancient alchemy. It is the roadmap of individuation, from wounds to wholeness. Negredo, the dark night of the soul. Negredo is the first stage where you are submerged in grief, confusion, sorrow, and a sense of soul loss. The moment they leave, it feels as if a part of your being has been torn away. But the loss is not just them. It's the loss of who you were when you were alive with dreams, love, and passion. You may fall into patterns like avoidance, clinging to idealized memories, obsessing, or spiraling into sadness with no way out. Jung believed this stage isn't a sign of weakness. It is a sign that the unconscious is beginning its work. The pain you feel isn't destruction. It's the raw material of your transformation. Albedo, purity through inner dialogue. When you begin to ask, why am I hurting so deeply? What inside me was reflected through them. That's when you enter the stage of albedo, where the unconscious begins to speak in metaphors and memories. You've understood your inner archetypes, Anima/Animus, and you've walked through the 3 alchemical stages: Negredo, Albedo, Rubedo. But awareness alone doesn't heal. Transformation happens when awareness meets action. Drawing or singing to express creativity, speaking up in meetings to step into leadership, taking a small risk to reclaim your freedom. Then rewrite each as a present tense affirmation. I live my creative passion every day. Post it where you'll see it. This is your Rubedo roadmap. 4. Practice inner dialogue. Set aside quiet time weekly. Sit still, close your eyes, and imagine speaking to your inner anima or animus as a symbol, a voice, a presence. Ask, what do you want to say? What part of me are you asking to be lived? Listen, then write down what arises. Each answer is a fragment of your soul's hidden story. 5. Create a personal symbol, mandala, or metaphor. Jung believed drawing mandalas, a circle symbolizing soul unity, signals integration. Draw or design a symbol that reflects the life you long to live. Light radiating from the center, a flower blooming from a wound. Hang it where you'll see it every day. It's your compass toward Rubedo. Here are 10 soulful Jung-inspired practices to help you turn pain into power, daily steps toward individuation. 6. Anchor new habits, behavioral transformation. Choose one small daily act that proves your soul is healing. Say no when you truly need rest. Express a buried emotion with honesty. Create something even when you feel shy. Each tiny action builds the muscle of authenticity. Each moment of courage heals an ancient wound. 7. Share your story, communal healing. If you haven't already joined a community like Young Psyche Hub, say it out loud. I love someone who couldn't stay, but I'm reclaiming what they awakened in me. Your story will unlock someone else's heart. When you read and comment on others' journeys, you'll feel it. You are not walking this path alone. 8. Connect through art or meditation. Draw, write poetry, play music, or simply sit in a silent presence. Just 10 minutes a day to meet your soul in the stillness. Jung believed art is the language of the unconscious. When your pain becomes a feeling, respond with a brushstroke, a line of poetry, or a single note. 1. Daily reflective journaling. Each morning or evening, write a short entry. Who did I miss today? Why? What part of me do they reflect? 9. Thank the wound. Gratitude is transformation. One day, write a thank you letter to the person you loved, not to send, but to read to yourself. Thank you for reflecting my lost self. Thank you for the pain that helped me rise. Thank you for birthing my soul. Jung once asked, can you love your wound? If you can say thank you, you are already transforming. 10. Design your Rubedo blueprint. Write a personal commitment to your next self. Examples: I live with passion. I lead with strength and softness. I embrace my feelings without shame. I honor my boundaries with love. Post it, read it every week. This is Rubedo Soul Rebirth. If even one of these steps brings light into your darkness, share it. In the Young Psyche Hub, thousands are awakening beside you. You are not just healing, you are healing through sharing. Comment, I choose to move forward, starting from Rubedo. We'll read your story. We'll walk with you. You no longer have to do this alone. The final part of this journey will not just be a conclusion. It will be a living invitation, a reminder that even though they couldn't stay, the light you found within you is here to stay forever. Don't judge, just observe. Over time, patterns will emerge. Idealization, emotional avoidance, seeking salvation in others. You'll slowly realize it's not just them you miss. It's the version of yourself you were around them. 2. Write to your Anima/Animus active imagination. Spend 10 to 15 minutes writing a letter to your unlived self, the part you suppressed, your creativity, your emotions, your strength. Write with honesty and feeling, I abandoned you. I feared you because you were intense different, but now I welcome you back. Repeat this weekly. You're rebuilding a sacred bond with the self you once rejected. 3. Create a commitment statement list. 5 small practical actions to embody the qualities you once projected onto someone else. Example, from wound to light, what to do when the longing still burns. The Jungian way to spiritual healing. Don't deny it. Don't run from it. Instead, sit still, place your hand over your heart, and breathe deeply. Repeat, I am whole even when they are no longer here. This isn't self-deception. It's a Rubedo moment where mind, body, and heart align in truth. 3. Create personal rituals. Jung believed humans need rituals to speak with the unconscious. Create a simple one. Light a candle at night, write a wish or affirmation. Let the candle burn for a few minutes, then blow it out gently. Each time you do it, you say, I've endured, now I choose healing. Over time, this becomes a sacred signature, a way to bond with your deep soul transformation. 4. Unify creativity and intention. Creative action integration. Jung didn't stop at listening to the unconscious. He insisted on acting, using creativity as the bridge between inner world and reality. Choose a small creative project. Draw something. Write a short poem. Create a melody. Don't aim for perfection. What matters is that you activate the light within instead of waiting for someone else to do it for you. 5. Distill your story into a soul offering. Summarize your journey into a short story, 200 to 300 words. You're deep in the journey of rediscovering yourself. You've explored the Anima and Animus. You've walked through the alchemical stages of Negredo, Albedo, and Rubedo. You've tried to turn your wound into inner strength. Reflect. I love someone I couldn't keep, but I choose to become what they awakened in me. Share it in a trusted community like Young Psyche Hub. Because when you share a story that holds both pain and light, you're not just sharing sadness, you're offering inspiration. You say we weren't meant to be, but through them I found the path to who I really am. Why this part holds you until the end? Because this is where theory becomes action. No more abstract terms or symbols, just simple soulful steps you can take today. Every action is small, but together they become a new way of life. Jung once wrote, we cannot change anything unless we accept it. But after acceptance comes the choice to live. And now you're being invited to do just that, to live as the person your wound helped you become. If you've felt even a flicker of that light within, comment below. I choose to shine from within. Others will see it. They'll feel it. And your light might become the spark someone else needs. In the Young Psyche Hub, every story is a flame. You are not alone, and the light you kindle today might be the fire that saves another soul tomorrow. And yet, sometimes the light still feels distant. You ask, how do I turn this pain into a torch, not just a flicker? The final part won't just summarize. It will be a call to live fuller, to embody the qualities you once sought in another now within yourself. Would you like me to write that final closing now? Using a Jungian symbol like the mandala Ouroboros, or a poetic inner invocation to end this journey and spark transformation? Let's co-create it. That's when you're ready for part 5, the phase of deep integration, where you don't just survive, you begin to shine as the person you've chosen to become. Here are the final 5 inner practices, daily soul rituals that transform longing into light. 1. Choose a daily symbol anchor. Select a personal symbol full of meaning. A mandala drawing a sacred quote or a small object infused with the qualities you're reclaiming, like a stone, a dried flower, or an image of light radiating outward. Each morning, look at this symbol and whisper, "Today I live with courage, softness, and creativity." Repeating the image plus affirmation each day anchors it into your nervous system. It stops being just an idea and becomes embodied truth. Jung saw this as a way to bring the archetype into life. 2. Stay grounded in tender moments, embodied presence. You'll still feel tender. There will be days when memories flood in, when longing makes you want to go back to the past. And now as this quiet journey gently comes to an end, perhaps you're sitting there in your own private space, heart still trembling with the memory of someone who was never meant to stay. You don't need them to stay to keep the fire they once ignited in you. You don't need anyone outside yourself to live a full and soulful life. So let me ask you this. What did they reflect back to you? A desire, a dormant talent, a part of you once buried deep. Write it down in the comments. It's not just a place to share, it's a marker of your awakening. You are not alone, and perhaps your story will light the path for someone else. If this video touched something within you, subscribe to this channel. Because here at Jung Psyche Hub, we don't just tell stories. We decode the soul symbol by symbol, dream by dream, wound by wound. Like this video, Bafi. This video if you felt seen, and comment below, I choose to turn pain into light. In the next video, we'll explore the symbol of the mandala, the image of inner wholeness, and how to draw your own soul map. Have you ever dreamed of a circle, a mysterious shape, something spinning with no beginning and no end? Make sure to follow and turn on the bell so you don't miss it. Jung said mandala is the psychological expression of the totality of the self, and you deserve to see the fullness of who you are. But pause and listen to this. You don't need to forget them. You don't need to harden your heart to move forward. You simply need to acknowledge that they came. They illuminated a hidden part of your soul, and then they left like a shooting star streaking across the night sky, leaving just enough light for you to keep walking, alone but never lonely. Carl Jung once wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That person, the one you could not keep, was a living symbol of your own inner light, buried too long in shadow. When you loved them, you were loving the forgotten parts of yourself. Unrequited love is not a cruel joke from fate. It's a whisper from the universe saying, look at them, then look within. For everything you admired in them was always a part of you. You have been invited into the process of individuation, the sacred journey back to your authentic self. And now, standing at the end of this path, perhaps you finally understand. You don't need their love to know you are lovable.